"Get off my property." The shout cracked through the quiet air like thunder, pulling every eye and ear into the story before it could even breathe. A gravel driveway dusted with autumn leaves, a weather-beaten farmhouse on its last legs, and a man standing at its edge, broad-shouldered, jaw clenched, eyes burning with the kind of fire that only comes from years of fighting battles no one else dared to fight. That was Daniel Hayes, a single father and a veteran who'd already seen more war than peace in his life. His calloused hands gripped the wooden post of the fence, like it was the last barrier between him and a world always trying to take more than it ever gave. And now, standing across from him, a billionaire's security team in black suits, polished boots, and mirrored glasses stared back, demanding what wasn't theirs. They had come for the land that was Daniel's anchor, his daughter's safe haven, the one place he still called home. But he wasn't going to let them just take it, not without a fight that would shake their arrogance to the core. Daniel hadn't always been this way. Once upon a time, he was just a young man in uniform, serving a country that gave him medals but never gave him peace. War left its scars that couldn't be stitched shut in hospitals or silenced in the middle of the night. But what had saved him wasn't the flag, or the applause, or the promises of government officials. What saved him was a little girl with eyes as wide as the sky, his daughter Lily. She was 8 now, bright as the morning sun. And though Daniel's heart carried heaviness, her laughter reminded him that maybe he hadn't lost everything after all. For her, he endured. For her, he kept breathing. And for her, he was now standing tall against men who thought money bought power, who thought intimidation could make a soldier bend. The billionaire's heiress, Evelyn Grant, wasn't even there that first day. She had sent her security detail ahead, men who treated the old farmhouse and its weathered fields like they were just numbers on a deed waiting to be signed over. They didn't see the chipped porch Daniel built with his own hands, or the swing where Lily still sat every evening humming the same lullabies her mother once sang. They only saw land. Valuable, fertile, perfect for a new luxury resort that Evelyn's father's empire was planning. But to Daniel, it wasn't just land. It was legacy. It was memory. It was survival. He stood unmoved, his voice a wall of steel. "This is my home. You don't cross this line." The men, trained and disciplined, exchanged glances, unused to being challenged, especially by a single man in worn boots and a faded army jacket. But there was something in Daniel's eyes, something that made even armed professionals hesitate. It wasn't just anger, it was conviction. And conviction, as any soldier knows, can stop an army in its tracks. That night, as Daniel tucked Lily into bed, she asked in her soft, innocent voice, "Daddy, are they going to take our house?" His throat tightened. He wanted to lie, to promise her safety without a shadow of doubt, but a soldier doesn't lie, especially not to the person he loves most. So he kissed her forehead, brushed back her curls, and whispered, "Not while I'm here, sweetheart. Not while I'm here." He went outside after she fell asleep, sat on the porch, and let the night air carry away the heaviness in his chest. He didn't know how long he could hold them off. He only knew he had to. The next day, Evelyn Grant herself arrived. She didn't step out of a limousine like some spoiled socialite, though. She came in a sleek black car, dressed sharp but with eyes that hinted at something softer, something human beneath all the gloss of wealth. She expected to see a bitter old farmer, maybe a drunk, someone clinging to land he couldn't care for. Instead, she saw Daniel, strong, weathered, unyielding, and Lily, who peeked shyly from behind her father's leg, clutching a worn teddy bear. Evelyn wasn't ready for the weight of that image, and for the first time, she felt the ground beneath her certainty begin to shift. but old habits and inherited pride ran deep. "Mr. Hayes," she began, her voice even, "this property is needed for development. You've been offered more than a fair price. Take it, and you and your daughter can start fresh somewhere else." Her tone carried the smoothness of someone who always got her way. Daniel's reply was simple, his voice low but firm enough to make her flinch. "You think money replaces memories. You think it replaces a promise I made to my wife before she died. To raise our daughter in this home, on this land. No deal, Miss Grant. Not now, not ever." What Evelyn didn't expect was the way Lily suddenly spoke up, her little voice cutting through the tension. "This is our home. Mommy's still here." The Heiress's eyes softened at that, her practiced words caught in her throat. For the first time, Evelyn saw not just a stubborn man, but a family holding on by threads of love and memory. Days turned into weeks, each one escalating the tension. Lawyers sent papers. The security team came back with veiled threats, and still Daniel stood his ground. His past as a veteran, his knowledge of strategy, his grit, all of it resurfaced, not for war, but for the only battlefield that truly mattered now, protecting Lily's childhood. Evelyn, caught between her father's empire and the raw truth unfolding before her, began questioning everything she'd been raised to believe. And then came the breaking point. One night, when the security team returned, more aggressive, ready to push Daniel off his land. But a soldier doesn't retreat. Not in war. Not in fatherhood. Daniel stood tall at the gate once more, his booming voice carrying into the night, "Get off my property." And this time, Evelyn was there too, standing behind her men, her heart pulled in two directions. What she chose in that moment would change everything, not just for Daniel and Lily, but for herself. Because sometimes, the richest lessons don't come from wealth, but from those who have little and still refuse to give it up. And in the quiet that followed his defiant words, Evelyn realized she was no longer the Heiress watching from a distance. She was part of a battle that would decide who she truly was, and what side of history she wanted to stand on. Would Daniel lose everything he fought for, or would Evelyn's heart finally awaken to the truth money couldn't buy? That answer was coming, but not without fire, not without sacrifice, and not without the kind of courage that makes a story unforgettable.